From Shield Studio 22A, this is the Safety Synergy Podcast. I'm Elliot Laratonda. My guest today is Brett Eddinger. Brett Eddinger has an undergraduate degree in biology and a master's degree in safety science, both from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. He is a certified hazardous materials manager. Brett spent 6 years as an environmental and industrial hygiene consultant. And in his current role, he has spent 5 years as an EHS program manager at Penn State, overseeing hazardous building materials programs. My good friend, Brett Eddinger, in the studio. Everyone goes crazy in class.
Thanks, Elliot.
So thanks for coming on the show. Today, we are covering safety phrases that should be mostly familiar to everybody. Some positive, some have great value and a purpose, and we'll like them a lot. Others might be a bit cringe. And so what we're doing is placing these phrases or slogans into different categories. And we have a tier list to help us do that. So we have the S tier, standing for outstanding, supreme, superb. We really like it. We have a high tier, meaning it's good. We have a mid tier, meaning it's mid. We have a low tier, and an F tier, meaning we really don't like it at all.
Yeah, don't want to use it.
And we might justify our reasoning. We might disagree and have to compromise in real time, which will be fun. So Brett and I have opposite opinions on all things TV shows, movies, music, and everything. So that will surely happen. So we'll have to handle that. So we'll probably populate our tier list, I think, kind of as a draft, and maybe we'll refine it towards the end. That's probably a good approach.
Yep, sounds good.
So the first one we're covering is safety first. Right? We've all heard that. I'm going to go to you first on all of these and seek your opinion if you're good with that. So what do you think about safety first?
Yeah, so this one was a little bit hard for me. I put it in the mid tier for myself personally. I think truly it sends the right message, right? But it's so cliche, so overused. It's probably on so many different, company slogans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so cliche, it's almost an afterthought. So
right
message, a little bit overused.
I had cliche written down as well. I would add that I feel like sometimes when people use this phrase, they're kind of kidding themselves, right? Because I like to push that safety should be integrated as part of operations, as part of culture. So I don't like to think of safety as the sprinkles on top, which Safety First gives me that vibe. I like to think of safety as being equal to production, to quality, to other core values of the company. Because to be honest, like, why is Penn State here? It's for higher education. It's not for safety.
Sure.
But we need to have safety integrated into all the operations and education, everything to keep people safe and to further our mission. So for that reason, I placed it in low tier, but go ahead.
Low tier, interesting. Years ago, I saw a company slogan that was something like safety third. And
we should have put that on the list. That's hilarious, actually.
But I think that kind of goes along with your message, right? Like,
is that a real thing or is that a joke?
Yeah, no, I know I saw it. Yeah, it is funny to think about.
But that was their logic.
Like, it is more realistic, right?
Yeah. So I would say safety is tied for first. Maybe that's a dumb way to put it, right? So, okay, I had low, but the fact that it's tied for first, I could buy into safety first. So let's leave it in mid tier. Is that fine?
Yeah, sure.
Next is, and it's kind of similar, safety is not a priority, it's a core value.
Boy, that's a good one. That's S tier for me, bud. I think that's truly like the kind of message that's a safety culture builder. It immediately shows leadership commitment, that it really is a core value of a company as an institution. I don't know if it really gets much better than that.
I had all the same notes. I'd say it's S tier. Priorities change. Core values remain the same. So safety as a core value and over a priority is a great way to put it, reflecting the mission, the culture, strategic planning of an organization. I agree, S tier. Let's move on. Yep, easy. Next, we have one that maybe would be in a negative category because we have some that are positive and supposed to be reinforcing safety, and others might be critiques or excuses, let's say. So this one is safety is common sense. We might have heard this before. Someone says safety is common sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this falls in the low to F. I'll probably give it an F. I think it oversimplifies what safety is. Safety is complex. Safety involves a lot of diverse people with diverse skill sets, technical knowledges and skills working together. It's not always common sense. I don't know how many times you or I have walked into a situation, maybe a lab, and I have no idea what's in front of you.
Sure.
You truly have to talk to people, learn what stuff does.
Yep.
It's not always common sense.
Yeah, and on the lab example, I would never walk into a space, whether it's science or industry, and say, "Oh, what you're doing is easy. It's common sense. I
True.
could push that button. I could run this assembly line, right?" So I would never show that disrespect to others in their profession, and we would expect that, to be reciprocated. I would also add, and by the way, I also had it in F tier. Do not like this excuse or phrase. If when someone says, "Oh, well, isn't safety common sense?" I would say, "Come take my class." Right? See how you do. Take the CIH,
Right.
pursue your CHMM, right? Take the CSP exam, and you'll find out that safety is indeed an applied science. Also, my rebuttal to that is it's not like people want to get hurt, right? They're trying not to get hurt. In fact, people don't generally like pain. But try to use that excuse when you've had a serious incident and maybe you have that distraught wife or girlfriend or caregiver that's, knocking on that company door to say, what happened? Why did this happen? Right? Well, try saying, well, it was common sense. You could have known better. That excuse won't work out in that situation.
OSHA wouldn't like that one.
That's true too. Looks like we're getting some negative ones out of the way. What about this is the industry standard?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's probably a low or an F. Probably F. I don't think the industry standard kind of best describes any real particular situation. Again, it's kind of oversimplifying things. Why do we do something this way? Well, it's the industry standard. Well,
let's use your brain.
Let's think about this. Is this the safest way? Are there other ways to go about this? Whether it's engineering controls, administrative controls, just saying, this is what other companies are doing. That's not the right answer.
Definitely a fair point. But here's one that a bit of a conflict. I kind of put it in mid. A situation might not be by the book, right? It may not be OSHA compliant, but there's probably some good reason on why it's that way, right? If someone says like, well, this is the industry standard, this is the way our company done it, our process has been, our organization, our industry as a whole, there's probably something to that. Like I would probably bias at first on the edge of like respecting and understanding like, okay, why is it done this way? I wouldn't say like that's a free pass, but this is one of the negatives where like, okay, this is going to make me probably inspire me to like evaluate kind of closer and kind of think about both sides, operations and safety. I had it in mid. I think that was a little generous. You had it in F. I put it in low.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think I didn't even think about it in the connotation, that you framed it.
I see. Yeah.
And totally get all your points.
Next is stuff happens, right? You have an incident that occurs and you come and investigate and they say, why are we even talking about this? The reality is stuff happens. People get hurt. It's part of our job, right? And of course, I put it in quotes because it might be something else in the real world. So stuff happens. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think there's actually some merit to this.
Okay, that's okay.
It's an F tier comment, but the reality of the world is stuff truly does happen.
Yep.
There are no things out there that are zero risk.
Exactly.
There's quotes and slogans out there, a drive to zero or quest for zero, adventure to zero,
and that's
vision
the goal,
to zero.
But
that's not a lot, the reality of a lot of things. There's slip, trips, falls, and walking into an office, stuff truly does happen, but it's to be used in the framework of a safety professional as a slogan. That truly is kind of an F tier comment.
I had it as low tier. I'm going to put it there if you don't mind, just for now.
Sure.
Because my first note was the same as yours. It's kind of true. Like, because why else would we have a job? If stuff didn't happen, we literally would not have a job. So stuff does in fact happen. But I kind of say it's kind of a coward's way out. Like, that's the easy door, right? That's the easy button of say like, well, it's hard to think about why this really occurred and think about people and human behavior and psychology and complex operations and put that all together. That's hard. The easy thing to do is, well, stuff happens. And so that's kind of points back to safety is not common sense. It takes a professional to kind of think through all those factors. And yes, it happens, but we need to think about how we can prevent it. We need to go deeper. Yes, stuff happens, but why and how and what can we do to prevent that from happening again or even similar things from happening again? And the challenge of all that is sometimes the safety measures that we implement, it might not even guarantee that the thing doesn't happen again, but it's going to reduce the risk overall. Yep. Okay. Next is safety is everyone's responsibility. Very common phrase. What do you think?
Yeah, this was in the high tier for me. I like that this phrase includes management and includes supervisors and includes leadership.
Good point.
This is simple, overall solid. It's true. It has the right message. It was a high tier for me.
It's pretty solid. I had the same kind of vibe. You mentioned something was cliche, so it knocked it down a
Hey,
peg for
yeah,
you.
sure.
I had that this was kind of cheesy, so it knocked down a peg for me. So I had it as mid, but I'm comfortable with high tier because it is true. And specifically, I like how you said it incorporates that safety is top management's responsibility. Employees have to be involved. Supervisors have to set an example. So you're hitting all tiers there or
Yeah.
all levels. And so therefore it is everyone's responsibility. So let's keep that in high tier. Ooh, I like this one. Safety is when nothing happens. What do you think?
I don't like it.
Oh man.
I don't like it at all, Elliot. I think this truly oversimplifies it. I think safety is when a lot of things happen. Safety,
Oh.
and we talked a bit about this at the beginning. Safety is complex. It involves a lot of people, a lot of critical thinking. The sheer absence of an incident or an accident is not safety. So I,
point.
I think the connotation here, where safety is nothing happens, is looking at that kind of data. I think of it more as kind of more of a proactive, complex thing than that.
Interesting. So what tier?
I had it low.
Oh my goodness. We're gonna have trouble on this one. I had it in an S tier. I had it S tier. I love this phrase. I like to think I made it up, which I most definitely did not. In fact, I started saying it, in fact, and I was proud of myself. And then I Googled it, and like the internet, of course, has discovered this. And, I mean, so I like it because the goal of safety is nothing. And that is a unique thing to appreciate. Think about almost any other profession. I mean, an architect designs a building, the construction team builds that building, a research scientist collects a body of knowledge. In most professions, there's a tangible output, but the output of safety is nothing. No incident, no spill, no fatality, no accident or amputation. So learning to appreciate that nothing and that drive for nothing is everything, is the goal. So it's really hard, and I think an important idea to get people on board, an important philosophy that safety is nothing. When we spend the resources, the time, the money, the training on safety, the output is nothing, but that's the goal. So and therefore it inspires measurement and effort, right? Because, okay, if my output is nothing, I need a way to prove and track with leading and lagging indicators that we're making progress. So it inspires measurement. It's a great philosophy to appreciate. It's kind of just on vibes alone. It sounds cool.
It does sound nice, yeah.
So you put it in low. Oh man.
We can come back to this too if you want. This one is tough.
I put it in mid with a big asterisk, man. Okay. You're the guest. We'll put it in mid.
I like what you said. It's the output is zero. The output is nothing.
And that's unique. That's so unique. Can we think of any?
But I
not
don't
in
think
real time.
I don't think it describes the process of safety well.
Right. And I never thought of it from that angle. So I appreciate that perspective and insight. And okay, I'd be more comfortable in high tier, but I'll put it in mid for now. That's fine.
I can negotiate with you.
Okay. Next is a phrase that might have come up in incident investigation. Someone's response or comment could be, "Well, you can't fix stupid." What do you think about that phrase?
Yeah, as true as that may be, is kind of an F tier comment, I think. You just can't say it. I mean, there are incidents out there where something is done in such a way by a person that is
kind of remarkable behavior.
remarkable.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But it does go deeper than that. That is kind of it does reflect on the company leadership. There's more to it. I understand that, but there is some silly stuff out there. But yeah, as a phrase, as a slogan like that, can't use it.
Yeah, I would put it in F tier as well, because my response is, well, you actually can, right? With training and education, first of all. Not that we
fair.
would jump to that, but you can fix lack of understanding. I get the sentiment, right? It's coming from a different angle. But also, like an employer, and this is what you were alluding to, literally has the legal obligation to provide the training, the education, the hazard controls to indeed protect against stupid.
Good point.
Right? Because just the other day, I was dealing with an operation and there was a really blatant, serious hazard, unguarded, mechanical moving parts. And I said, this absolutely has to be guarded. I mean, sorry to be firm, but there's no conversation here. This needs protected. And the person started to be like, well, no one would reach down there. Why would anyone? And I said, that's exactly what we're protecting against. You know, we can't anticipate the reasons, the unending list of why people could reach in a certain location. It has to prevent against incidental, purposeful, or any contact. Say in this situation, they were feeding, stock into this machine. What if they dropped it and went to like catch it, right? And shifted their hand in the wrong place? Not to mention they're wearing a lab coat that, something could get stuck, or maybe they wore jewelry, which they shouldn't be wearing. There's just a million examples that I'm not going to come up with off the top of my head of why this could happen. So we have to protect. We have the legal obligation to protect, in fact, against stupid. So,
Yep, good point.
Another negative. What about we've always done it this way?
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good, Elliot. Kind of another F tier phrase in my book. Yeah, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. At the minimum, you have to be compliant, right? So if you've always done it this way, that's not going to be a good thing to tell OSHA. That's not going to be a good thing to tell any regulator. It's not an excuse. You have to be proactive.
And I love that because, well, we've always done it this way. Well, cool, you've always done it wrong. that's a jerk. I would never say that, right?
Yeah.
But that's the kind of case. And what really that means, it should let people understand and appreciate that these serious incidents, they're rare events. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with things that are just characteristically low likelihood. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Am I supposed to be impressed? Like, you've done this for 10 years and you never got hurt? Well, yeah, because it's unlikely that you will. But if the result of it is serious consequences, it can still be unacceptable risk.
Yep.
So that's I think, a good way to put it, and I agree, F tier. What about the slogan, all accidents are preventable? Thoughts?
For a long time, I've really disliked this. Truly, I've always really disliked it. I have it as low. I've always hated it. I think the connotation of this immediately blames a worker.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way.
That's the way I look at it.
All accidents are preventable. You could have done something different. Okay.
I think if this was like a slogan, this is something that can be like a company's slogan.
Yeah, sure.
I think it could lead to underreporting, potentially.
I see.
I want to hear your comment. I have a little bit of follow-up, but...
Well, I had it in high, so for now, I'm going to compromise, get this bell curve going and put it in mid-tier. I had it as high because I kind of like it. You want this mindset, in my opinion. Yes, it's very difficult. And yes, there are acts of God, right? But I think you want this mindset in your company. You want to have an attitude across the organization that all accidents are preventable, because then you're going to have the statistics on your side that you'll prevent more, because everyone thinks that they can prevent it with the right amount of planning and design and effort or education, that sure, we can prevent all that. So I think you want to promote that mindset, sure. But I guess it's categorically false, right? Because we can't prevent the lightning strike, right? Like, we can't prevent those. And that's an extreme example, the acts of God. But for those reasons, I had it in mid. I mean, I had it in high, you had it in low, I placed it in mid. Any other final comments, or are you comfortable with that rating?
I'm good right now.
Okay.
I'm good right now. There's some similar things with maybe some other things we'll talk about, I'll dive into.
What about safety starts with you, right? You can imagine the t-shirt with the finger pointing at you, right? Safety starts with you.
I think it's a mid-tier slogan, mid-tier phrase. It's true, right? We are all responsible for our own safety to some degree. That's a good part of a safety management system, and involves workers. Safety involves everyone. But again, I think this is one of several where it might frame safety as a sole responsibility of a worker and not truly starting with management or leadership.
That's exactly what I had. And I had it in low. I'm fine with mid, because I guess the first literally sentence I wrote is that it kind of doesn't. It starts with management support, supervisor, exemplary behavior, and employee participation is part of it. But I don't know how I would maybe prioritize those three components. So,
yeah.
And it is really
That's
important.
Tough. Yeah.
And that, kind of like my last logic is, you want people to have that mindset, I suppose. And so for that reason, I'm comfortable with mid, though I did have it in low.
Yep. So I think the safest institutions and cultures out there are when people are thinking about safety all the time, at all different levels, at all different positions. How can they do this job? It might be different jobs. It might be the same job all the time. So to have that always in the back of one individual's mind is great. But again, doesn't have the best message overall.
Yeah, I can buy that. We'll keep it in mid and move to the next. What do you think about safety pays? I mean, we see this on the OSHA website, really. Safety Pays is a website where you can do some calculations. What do you feel about Safety Pays?
I love it, Elliot.
Love it.
This is Nest Tier 1 for me.
S. Oh,
It to me, this immediately shows us the leadership of the organization, the institution, sees the financial benefits of being safe. How? We can put this in the framework of direct versus indirect costs. Whoever says that, they get that. They know that an accident on average is $40,000. They know that the indirect costs are probably double that at least. They understand that good safety affects culture and worker retention, maybe talent acquisition.
yep.
You know,
Nice.
these people get it. Safety pays to me is great. What
If
are your
you had
thoughts?
executive management that was preaching that, it would be really impressive. I agree.
What about like a slogan if it was on the back of like someone's coat?
Yeah, that's it's great. I didn't have it in S
Okay.
because I'm trying to reserve S for just one or two, to be honest. I had it in high though, so we're in general agreement. I think there's something to be said. Actually, I want to maybe after this pull up a chart for us of the direct and indirect cost relationship and how that changes with increased cost of like the overall claim or accident. Because
Yeah,
that
sure.
the 1-to-4 relationship or whatever doesn't hold true for forever, but we know that. But it's also it's good for me. It's really good and it's high tier for me because it at least inspires measurement. Like I would be really weary if someone
Right.
says safety pays and I'd be like, well, prove it. And they'd be like, well, it just does, right? Like I would want to see the numbers. And then if you have your safety manager or director that pulls you out and shows, here's the x-axis over time. This line is our budget, how much we spend on safety. This line is our claims. See where they intersect. That's the Goldilocks zone, right? So
Yep.
it tells me that you're measuring something, and that alone is awesome. So I'm not biased for myself, but I'm just going to put it in high tier because again, I like the bell curve kind of shape that we're getting here. Next is safety is no accident. What do you think?
I have this as mid. It's witty, catchy, punny. What I don't like is if
Okay.
you put a dash in it. Safety is dash, defined as no accident. I don't think that's true. Safety is so much more than that.
Interesting. I did never that concept or way of thinking did not cross my mind. Like,
Yeah, you could look at this two ways, right? Safety is no accident. You could think of that as this is work. Safety is us truly trying to.
yep.
But if you put a dash in there, it changes the.
Safety
Let's say-
equals no accident. No, it actually doesn't. I see what you're saying now.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think.
Sorry, it took me a while to get up to speed. With
Gotcha. I think there's a combination of high and low, depending how you take it. I have it as mid.
Gotcha. I had it as high. We're going to put it in mid. No problem. Safety is no accident. I like it a lot because it takes purposeful action. It doesn't happen automatically. My example is, safety by design. That takes an effort. If you have a change management process and you want to do a thoughtful evaluation before you overhaul a process or equipment and replace it, for example, having a process of doing that design takes thought, effort, engineers, time,
Absolutely.
money. And then the other more relatable example, perhaps across everybody, is just like being a defensive driver, right? The most dangerous thing we all do every day. Everyone can relate. You're not a good driver, a good defensive driver automatically. It takes education, awareness, effort, practice. For that reason, I think, yeah, it doesn't happen by accident. But I see your logic there, and I'm going to keep it in mid. What do you think about this? You can't be safe unless you feel safe.
You can't be safe unless you feel safe. I think that's high. I think, what does it take to feel safe? I think you have to be in an organization that is committed to safety. You have to be in a situation where you have a manufacturing operation. It has to be guarded. There has to be some breaks and administrative control. I don't know if I've ever heard this one. It kind of took me back a little bit.
Yeah, I'll
but
tell you
I
the
think-
source offline. What about this? What if someone feels safe, but they're doing it dangerously, right? But I don't think that's the intent of this. It's you can't be safe unless you feel safe. Well, that doesn't discount that someone can feel safe but still be unsafe. It doesn't discount that, I don't
True.
think. But you can't be safe. So I guess what this is getting at is, say someone is working in a compliant environment, and I actually had this. I use this in real life. Remember, it wasn't this exact scenario, but we were at Eisenhower. We were talking about, say, fall protection, whatever.
Mhm.
I was dealing with an issue in the theater industry. where someone was working from a platform and they had adequate protection. The guardrail was compliant.
Right.
You know, I didn't find any issues really. And they were working not with their like center of gravity or leaning over the guardrail at all, but kind of reaching over, just standing, you know, well balanced. But like their task had them moving ropes to control rigging and line sets just with their arms over the guardrail. And they expressed that they wanted more protection, right? And that's what I said. And I think that it's a valid ask because despite if you have a compliant guardrail, you're not defeating the guardrail or leaning over it. But if you're not feeling safe, I'm not sure if we can say that you're safe because that perception matters. And as we know, our job is about people and a lot of it's about perception.
Right.
So for those reasons, yeah, I agree with high tier. I'm comfortable with that. Ooh, another good one. I have a drum roll in my head to see where you're going to place this. The absence of injury doesn't indicate the presence of safety.
It has to be S tier.
It has to be S tier.
There's no better way, I think, to describe
Thank you.
it. There's so much more to safety than just not being injured.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk more about this, but it doesn't get much better than that.
I agree. Man, I thought for sure we might have some disagreement there because I was so like passionate about this one and no, but I'm happy you said S tier. Just on like philosopher vibes alone, it's S tier.
Yeah.
First of all, but it helps us appreciate that in reality, the incidents, the events, especially the serious accidents or losses are rare events. Right? It might be a matter of time. It might be a matter of luck. Just because you're doing it one way doesn't mean it's the safe way or an acceptable way or meets an organization's tolerance for risk. And then my last note is that, like, again, low likelihood, the fact that you haven't had an event or injury does not equal low risk. Because again, if we're talking about exposure to high voltage or serious amputation risks or any serious loss, the low likelihood of years and years without an event doesn't necessarily mean low or acceptable risk. So I love it.
Well said.
Last one on the list. The safest way is the best way.
And I struggled with this one a little bit too. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I actually had this as mid. I think this oversimplifies things a little bit. The safest thing I could have done today is not come to work.
Right.
But whenever,
or not drive, stay in your room. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it oversimplifies kind of what safety is, but maybe used in the right situation, maybe designing something. Safest way probably is the best way. Having the best guard possible or something along those lines.
But I follow that, but I think your disadvantages outweigh, because that's what I had. It's just not always true. I mean, sometimes it can be categorically false. And I also don't believe in like cutesy safety theater. Like we're just saying things to be cute. Like I believe in honest risk assessment. Like I don't just believe in, we'll do it the safest way because again, it's kind of the easy way out. It's my easy button. It's my coward's way out to say like, well, we're just doing it the safest way. No exceptions, right? I believe in honest risk assessment, providing alternatives, right? Here's the safest way, but it's really expensive versus here's the next safest way, maybe a little more approachable, but probably really difficult and requires other resources. Here's maybe the minimum acceptable way and a little bit, the hierarchy of controls, of course.
Yep.
And the other negative is the safest way can just be straight up unfeasible, like literally not possible.
True.
Outside of financials, but literally not possible. For your machine guarding example, right? Like maybe the safest way will make the machine unfunctional. Like, and that's just not right. A good machine guard allows the machine to operate, right? And so it can just be infeasible or unreasonable. So would you be comfortable with low tier to balance this out here?
I'm okay with it. Yeah. Again, I think there's times where, that phrase can be used, but it's not many, right?
I agree. So I think we did really good. I'm really comfortable with the tier list here, unless there's anything that, you jotted down or jumps out or anything.
No, I think that list looks great. I didn't do this exercise looking to see how many high or low or mids I had before. That it worked out well.
It's fun that it worked out kind of perfect. I'm really glad we did this. I thought it was a blast.
Yeah, I'll have to start thinking of some slogans now.
Get some t-shirts made.
I don't really use them much in my day-to-day life, but I'll start thinking.
I agree, man. That's a good idea, and I had a blast. And thanks for coming on. I hope it was fun, and I hope people listening kind of got a kick out of it. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Elliot. Appreciate it.